Joining us now to break down what this means is Green Party leader Mike Schreiner. Mike, what's your initial reaction to Hazel McCallion leading the Greenbelt Council and her open letter throwing her support behind the sprawl?
Well, it looks to me like the Ford government searched around until they could find somebody who would support their sprawl agenda. But here's the bottom line. The government's own hand-picked housing affordability task force clearly and explicitly stated that land is not the barrier to building more homes and addressing the housing affordability crisis. We don't need to open the Greenbelt for development. And by the way, let's remember that the previous chair of the Greenbelt Council, who resigned in protest, was a former conservative cabinet minister who basically left because of the threats the Ford government was posing to the Greenbelt. I think the Ford government has forgotten that the word conserve is in conservative.
What exactly is supposed to be the role of this council?
Well, I mean, the council is there to advise the government on ways to support and protect the integrity of the Greenbelt. I don't see how opening Greenbelt land for development, especially when you look at places like the Duffin Rouge Agricultural Preserve, which was land that was sold at a huge discount to farmers, a decision a previous government, conservative government, made that I support under the understanding that that land would be for farming forever. For the government now to not only backtrack on the premier's promise not to open the Greenbelt for development, but to backtrack on the public good of preserving farmland makes absolutely no sense to me, especially when the primary beneficiary is going to be a handful of land speculators who are going to make billions while the rest of us foot the bill. Ideally, the council would be comprised of people with an expertise in land use planning, the protection of wetlands, the protection of farmland, the important role that those lands play in protecting us from flooding and cleaning our drinking water. But most of the people who were on the council resigned over the fact that the Ford government's policy decisions are threatening the integrity of the Greenbelt. And so now the government's gone out and, it appears to me, looked for people who would support their destructive agenda.
Of course, we know that you are against building in the Greenbelt. Can you explain why and how you would deal with the increased housing pressures in Ontario?
Well, building in the Greenbelt is actually going to make the housing affordability crisis even worse. The sprawl agenda is hugely expensive. It's expensive to municipalities because of the added cost of servicing that land. So think of the additional water main lines, sewer lines, hydro lines, roadways that need to be built. And it's more expensive for people and families because it forces people into long, expensive commutes. I mean, anybody who's gone to the pumps to fill their car up knows how expensive commuting is. What people really want is to live in affordable communities.
In her open letter, Hazel McCallion called the Ford government's decision to develop the Greenbelt brave, important, responsible, necessary. What's your reaction to that?
Well, for those people who are going to see more flooding in their basements at an average cost of $42,000, it makes absolutely no sense. For those people worried about Ontario's food security and want to support the $50 billion that the Ontario food and farming economy provides to the benefit of Ontarians, this makes absolutely no sense. For people who are going to be forced into longer, more expensive commutes, this makes no sense. For municipalities who are going to see their costs go up, likely leading to increased property taxes or service cuts, this makes absolutely no sense.
Thanks so much for joining us, Mike Schreiner.
Yeah, my pleasure.